welcome to the Nurtured Nerds Epic Podcast.
Come join us and get cuddly, get gaming, get nerdy,
and get nurtured. Here we are. We're doing this again. This is number 20, right, Crystal? Are we on 20?
We're on the 20th episode.
20th episode of Nurtured Nerds Podcast. Ah, yay. We have an awesome guest with us today. You guys are going to love it. I can't wait. But first, we're going to introduce ourselves. Crystal, do you want to go first? Introduce yourself.
Sure. My name's Crystal. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I'm a professional cuddler. I've been working in the industry for 4 years. Super happy to be here. Super happy to be part of the Nurtured Nerds. Thank you.
Yes, and I'm Mary Swenson, and I'm actually in Panama right now. But I'm usually in Salt Lake City, and I am a professional cuddler and a Cuddle Party facilitator. I've been doing that for about 7 years now. Well, with a hiatus. But anyway, we won't talk about that right now. Yes, and I'm doing Nurtured Nerds podcast for like a year. This is awesome. It's so fun. Cool. And today we have a guest that we're going to be talking about with Keeley Shoup. She's one of the leaders of our industry. I'm so excited. She's a gamer, cosplayer, Cuddle Therapist, and she was one of the co-organizers for CuddleXpo, which was an amazing event that we all it was epic. Yeah, right. I have no words.
Y'all are talking me up. Now I gotta live up to the hype.
You will. You're fabulous. Yeah, so Keeley, why don't you introduce yourself?
Well, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really excited to chat with you guys. I am very nerdy. So I'm a Cuddle Therapist. I am a Cuddle Party facilitator. I'm a boundaries and consent educator. I was the co-founder and director of CuddleXpo. I'm the director of development and co-owner of Cuddlist. Like this, cuddling is my life.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of my life that people don't always know, because like the professional side of people, is that I'm a huge nerd. Big nerd. Big nerd. And so getting to celebrate that side of myself alongside the cuddly part is really cool. I'm into it.
Yeah, it has been so fun for me too to like really just celebrate nerds along with cuddling, because I'm a big nerd too. I just like,
Yeah.
What does nerd mean to you, Keeley? Because like to me, it means that you're just really excited about something that maybe some people think you shouldn't be excited about, but you're so happy and it makes you happy.
Mm-hmm. For me, there's an element of subverting mainstream. Now, I know comics and superheroes have gotten way more in the mainstream, but it's because nerds grew up and made those movies, right? Yeah. It's because the nerds who were outside of the mainstream, who were othered in some way, who were marginalized in some way, grew up, got a little bit of clout and power, and we're like, hey, I'm gonna make stuff I like.
Love it.
Agreed.
Yeah, and still that still has a really key part in my definition of nerdiness.
Mm-hmm. I love that. Yeah.
Wonderful. We're in good company. We're definitely all here to celebrate nerdiness every day.
Absolutely. Oh, and we usually like to ask, what are we drinking today? Crystal, do you have something fun to share what you're drinking?
Well, I'm really excited about the mug I'm drinking out of. It's my giant Powell books. I got it in Portland, Oregon when I first started training for cuddling. It says, sorry, my weekend is booked. And it's like the best. So I just have coffee in here, but I'm really excited about the mug itself. So.
What the heck is going on with your straw?
This is a metal straw, and I'm like trying to save the planet, super.
Oh, okay. Oh, but I
think save those turtles.
That's right.
Save the turtles. But I feel like there's a safety pin in there or something.
So there was actually dummy on a tea. So yes, this is like a little tea container. So it looks like a safety pin, but yeah.
Okay.
I had a blend of coffee and tea today.
I love it.
Just to make sure you have the ample caffeine that you may need.
Double up.
I'm actually just drinking water today because I'm boring.
I love it. No, that's the water is like the life, babe. Like you got to drink it.
Oh, 1000%. When you were like, "What are we drinking today?" I was like, "Should I run downstairs? I can go make a mimosa right now. I can do it."
I have no doubt.
I'm totally unprepared. I will say for lunch today, I had sushi and I had some sake with my sushi, and it was delightful.
Wonderful.
Right now, I just got water. All you listeners, are you drinking water? Are you staying hydrated? Water break. Stop the podcast. Go get some water.
You're down.
Get some water. Come on. Yeah. We haven't done that with our listeners. See, this is why we need Keeley with us, because she just knows how to engage our listeners.
When I'm like live streaming or something, I always go hydrate or dehydrate. Let's go.
Very good.
I love it.
Yeah. So what kind of
World merch store? Ting.
Oh. Oh, sorry, I missed it. I was talking over you. I'm sorry.
No, that's my bad. I'm just being dumb.
Okay.
So Keeley, tell us a little bit about yourself. We know you're a professional cuddler. We know you're awesome. We know you're a nerd. We want to hear more about like what kind of nerd you think you'd consider yourself and what kind of work you do in the cuddle realm.
Yeah. Okay. So the cuddle realm question is maybe I do a lot of one-on-one client work. I also do group facilitation. The purpose and like main thread of my a word is escaping me. The through line of like my flavor, my particular flavor is helping people develop healthier communication tools around boundaries and consent specifically. Mm-hmm. So whereas some professional cuddlers might be really into like technical prowess, right? I tend to lean towards our bodies naturally have a pull. Like if you think about children, right? Little kids, they just move their bodies, right? Like they just move their bodies in the way that feels good. Their body naturally knows what it wants to do, right? Yeah. And they just explore the world in that really wonderful, uninhibited, socially conditioned way. And I think that we all have that innately and can get back to that. And the way that we do that is to bring out and clear the muck of the social conditioning that prevents us from communicating our boundaries healthily and from embodiment work. So the boundaries consent piece, the embodiment work piece, and I also do quite a bit of trauma help, trauma awareness, and trauma recovery. So those are kind of my particular flavors, if you will. Also catering towards a lot of the queer community. That's my community, and so I really enjoy working with the unique needs for us. And then my particular brand of nerd is I'm a little bit of a call me a little bit of Disney nerd, a little bit of a HP nerd, although that's complicated for myself at the moment. I'm a little bit of like a 1980s Back to the Future, like that era, is Ghostbusters, like that era kind of nerd, right? And then I'm also a little bit of like a Lisa Frank nerd. And then I'm also a little bit like a little sprinkling of comics, mostly independent stuff like Saga, if y'all know Saga. Oh, my whole heart. Oh, Saga is so good. But and if we're talking gaming, I'm a bit more of a tabletop gamer than I am a console or a PC gamer, but dabble. I am a dabbler. I'm a dabbler from way back. It also helps that I have ADHD, so I just like do all of the things really intensely for a couple months and then move on to the next one.
Preaching to the choir again, girl. Definitely.
I feel like I'm in good company.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I do that too. People like meet me doing one thing and they're like, "Oh yeah, you were really into that." I'm like, yeah, I was for like a month. I haven't done it for 2 years, but yeah, that would be fun. I should do that again.
Like Chipley, Doctor Who, like you, like name a fandom, and if I've been in it, I was in it. Like I was present. If I don't know the fandom, then it's like, none.
Cool. I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you guys, any particular flavors that I don't know about? I know a little bit about your flavors of nerd.
I'm kind of a knitting nerd. I do crafting. I do yarn stuff. I knit sweaters, and I did crochet when I was young, and I've done cross stitch. I've done lots of little handcrafty things.
Sweet.
I like to teach knitting and crochet. That's always fun when I have somebody new to teach them that. And I do like Doctor Who, and I like Star Trek. And one of my claims to fame is I won a Doctor Who trivia contest by myself at a trivia night because my whole team had never watched it.
Awesome.
That's rad. That is awesome. Chucky's in the house. I was always more of a Chucky than a Star Wars person, but I've never had any animosity. Like that, I never got it. I never got rivalry. I was like, they're both chill. I just happen to like one a little bit more.
So I grew up in a house of Trekkies, and I was actually Star Wars all the way, anti-Trekkie for years, totally like rebellious against the Trekkie. And then eventually, as I aged, I came around and was like, no, there's some good quality content in here. Like I definitely am on both sides now, but it took me years before I was like, okay with
Yeah.
My parents took me to conventions my whole life, so I was like, oh, I'm done.
That makes sense. You had to rebel a little bit. I get it.
I had to.
Yeah. I'm actually more of a, I'm actually such a Trek nerd that I consider myself a Trekker, not a Trekker. So there's different flavors of nerd, right? So anyway.
You should check out my dear friends and another cuddler in the industry, who's on a break right now, run a convention called Starbase Indie. I'm going to do a little free plug. I'm not being paid to say this. But if you remember from CuddleXpo, bringing it kind of back around to that, one of the co-founders, Lisa Meese, runs the Starbase Indie convention in Indianapolis, Indiana. Actually, I think it might sometimes shift, but it's always in Indiana. And it is a wonderful convention. I have my favorite thing that happens there every single year is the Klingon pop star. And the Klingon pop star is an incredible artist and an incredible performer who translates all of the current pop songs into Klingon and performs them.
What?
She's amazing. She is incredible.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up like immediately.
I think I don't remember if this is the accurate story, but I think she like met her husband and they spoke exclusively like Klingon to each other for like, I think they had like an exclusively Klingon wedding. And so there's some kind of cute story there that I'm forgetting details of.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, Klingon
love story right there.
I'm a theater nerd too, but we wanted to hear what kind of nerd Crystal is, because we love to hear that too.
I would say that I'm a martial arts nerd. I really love martial arts. I think I would be a plants nerd. I'm like super into plants and gardening and like want to like learn more and be outside and just play in the dirt and roll around in the dirt. That's definitely it. And I think I'm actually a psychology / connection nerd, where I literally just try to learn more about like the mind and the like meditation and connection and healing and somatic work. I think like that's definitely part of my mission and nerdiness too, because I can't help it. And I think that we all kind of fit in with that one really well. And I'm a nerd for my kids. I know this sounds lame, but I'm such a nerd for my children. I'm just like super mommed out on them. My son is like amazing. My daughter's amazing. And I talk them up a lot. So I feel like I nerd on them. Nerd mom.
I love celebrating nerdiness.
Definitely.
But Keeley, I wanted to ask you, like, what brought you to cuddling? I don't think I know your origin story. I'd love to hear, what drew you in.
Yeah, in 2013, I think was the very first time I'd ever been exposed sort of to this world. I can also mention something that happened well before that, but in 2013, I went to my first Cuddle Party, and that event changed my whole life. And I feel like several people in this world, quite a number of them, can say that sentence. I went to a Cuddle Party and it changed my whole life. And so being the ADHD, although didn't know at the time, I'm a late diagnosis person, I went into a hyperfocus and was like, so my first Cuddle Party, I was invited and turned it down. I was like, no, that sounds creepy as fuck. Sorry, am I allowed to? I'll censor, sorry. That sounds creepy as heck. And the person was like, no worries, don't worry about it. And then the next weekend, I wanted to go to a movie with that same friend. And they're like, well, hey, I'm going to that same event again. If you want to come with me, we could maybe go after. And I was like, I don't think so. Third time around. They're like, hey, listen, I'm going to that thing again. You said you wanted to hang out. What if I make you a deal? I'm going to pay for your ticket. I'm going to drive you there, because driving in Chicago and parking in Chicago is a premium hassle. And if you don't like it in the first 5 minutes, I will take you out and I will buy you lunch. And then we'll just go to the movie anyway. How does that sound? Like, would that seem okay to you? And I'm like, this is very low risk for me. I will try this. All the barriers of entry have been removed. I will do this thing. And I cried for 2 of the 4 hours of the event. in a good way, not like a, oh God, like Crystal, I saw your face as like a, but no, it was like, I went in the welcome circle, going over all of the opening agreements, and the way that we are going to engage in the education around consent in a way that I had never heard it before. And the thing that really hit was that my emotions weren't a burden on anyone, and my emotions were welcome, and that people wanted me to say no. It wasn't an inconvenience for people. No wasn't disappointing people. No wasn't rejecting the people around me, and I was going to have to then deal with the aftermath of their rejection, like of them feeling rejected. They when I said no, they said thank you, and that just it blew my mind, and it felt so different than so much of what I had ever experienced in my life, and that I just like broke down and cried for most of like a half of the event. And then after that, I had lovely people who were like happy to sit with me for a time and happy to just like kind of let me have my own process for a time, and it didn't bother people. And after that, I was like, okay, this there's some kind of magic here. There's some kind of really important, and I don't understand it, and I need to understand it. So for a year and a half, I did a deep dive and went to every single event I could go to, read as many things as I could from the founders. I was like, Marsha Pachansky, like, let me meet you. And she's like, totally. And then heard about Betty Martin and heard about, just all of these incredible people in our industry, these great thinkers, these great people who are doing this incredible work. And then after about a year of just obsessively going over this and attending and learning, Marsha was like, hey, you'd be good at this. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? And she's like, you'd be good at like facilitation. And I was like, huh? Sorry, me? Are we talking to someone behind me? And like, and once she like kind of talked me up a little bit, and Natalie Gunazo as well, once they supported me a little bit, I got training to be a facilitator. So I went the Cuddle Party route first, and then transitioned into one-on-one clients. And for me personally, I wouldn't do it any other way, because I had to learn so much. And the only way for me to get the mastery that I needed, and this isn't true of everybody, but I think it's pretty common, I imagine, from what I see anyway, is that having the mastery that I gained through practicing in cuddle parties, like if I didn't have that experiential learning of how to ingrain those concepts into my body, I don't think that I would have been as successful in one-on-one client work, because I needed to master it first before I could be with others and teach them. Yeah, so that was the origin of it. I
think that's
completely agree.
But when I will say this, and if I could take a, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I had a similar thing where I went to Cuddle Party and blew my mind. I became a facilitator, and I was doing group events, and then people came to me for one-on-one attention in the Cuddle Parties, and that's when I was like, oh, well, maybe I can do one-on-one because people need this, But what I learned of how to in Cuddle Party was what made me believe that I could be a one-on-one cuddler. Sorry, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
1000%. Oh no, they relate to that so much. The other little piece I was gonna say is a fun little anecdote. When I did this, when I quit my day job, right, to do this as my full-time, the thing I was gonna do with my life, I told my family about it, right? And after a lot of questions, they kind of turned their head to the side a little bit and were like, actually, this all makes so much sense. And I was like, what do you mean? And they're like, Keeley, you've been doing this since you were 5 years old. I go, what are you talking about? They're like, don't you remember Saturday morning cartoons? I have two older sisters, and every Saturday morning we would sit and watch Saturday morning cartoons while, my parents got to sleep in a little bit. And we would do what we lovingly nicknamed magic fingers. And magic fingers for us when we were like 5, 6, 7 years old was drawing shapes on each other's backs, was like feather touch tickles on arms, and we called it magic fingers. And they asked me to do it so often and I would get bored because like I want to watch Scooby-Doo too. And then so they started paying me $0.25 a cartoon so that I had $0.25 for the gumball machine when we went to the grocery store. And so I would do magic fingers. My rates have changed. I'll say that. My rates have changed since I was 5. But they reminded me of that story and I'd totally forgotten about it.
I love it. I really resonate with a lot of that. And I was really grateful to hear that you said like the path you took was what you needed to take. Like that was where that you found the magic. And I felt very strongly that the path I started on was what I needed to take. And I remember my first group event, which actually was at CuddleXpo. And I definitely sobbed for at least a half an hour during that. And I was petrified. I came in literally holding my Care Bear because I was so afraid to be in a cuddle event. I just thought like, and I had been doing one-on-one work, by the way. So I'd already been in the world and it was just such a it was such a mind-blowing experience and so beautiful. Again, the word magic really does sit well with me with that. So I'm really grateful for that share and that understanding of your origin. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Let me ask Keeley for, we all are professional cuddlers. We really feel the industry. We know the industry. For people who may not know what professional cuddling is, how would you personally define it? And would you say, is it important for people to have the resource of understanding cuddling? And if so, why?
Yeah. I take an interesting definition maybe, or this is mine. I say that professional cuddling is giving people access, that word's important, giving people access to platonic touch, to therapeutic platonic touch, through boundaries and consent communication for the purposes of validating their humanity and bringing them inspiring feelings of belonging. And so each individual part of that is chosen pretty intentionally, because I have many sessions where we don't ever touch because that isn't appropriate for that person in that setting, but it's still a cuddle session because the access to the platonic touch in like a safe environment, that's the powerful part. Like they have it, but they get the choice of whether or not it's the right thing for them in that moment. The fact that it's platonic and therapeutic, those things, I want to be really clear in that I am sex positive. I am pro sex work existing in the world in a healthy way. I think that sexuality is an incredibly beautiful part of our human experience, is an important part of our health, our overall health and well-being. And when we separate out platonic touch, there's magic in that in its own specific way. Right. And being able to take touch and define for yourself when it's platonic versus when it's sexual brings so much agency and so much control over your autonomy. And that exploration in that realm can be really powerful, and it can actually feed into more positive, more intentional experiences in a sexual realm. So that's where the platonic piece is important. It's not exclusionary, but it's a focus, right? And I could keep talking about each individual part, but yeah, that's my definition.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's perfect. And I think it's really, really intentional, which I like. I think that, throughout our practice, we all kind of redefine what we call platonic touch, what we call platonic touch therapy, cuddle therapy, like all the different terms, all the different usages of it. And I do think that that's a really well-defined and broad, but very focused at the same time. It sounds a little, but it's beautiful.
No, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah, it's inclusive it's broadly inclusive, but it's specific in the things that it needs to say. Yeah, I hope. That's the goal.
I agree. I get so excited.
Wonderful definition, definitely. I know that you like to use the word therapy for your practice. Do you want to speak more to that?
Yeah, I feel like there's this cool, like, I don't know, like zeitgeist thing I don't know, that happens in our industry. And I feel like there are, again, we're talking about these like flavors, right? And for me, I think that one of the reasons why I use Cuddle Therapy is to help people recognize, or like to be specific in what like the kind of the more the purpose of my practice is for. Some people who are doing professional cuddling are a bit more, maybe a word to describe it would be relational. Like sometimes it feels more just like hanging out with a best friend, and it feels more like practice for a relationship maybe for some people, or it's just like I don't say just as a diminishing term, but just to define it, it's, well, here, and I'll say that the difference that my practice takes is there are more elements of how are we going to improve your life in ways that you want it to improve. Like, is there a focus or an intention or a goal that you want to get out of your time? Yeah. Is there, are there things in your life or patterns that aren't serving you that this work is aptly suited to help you work through? And so the reason why I use the term therapy is so that there is a bit of a communication of sessions with me have more intention based. They can still feel very, very comfortable, like that when I think of having like sitting with a best friend for a very long time, the thing I like about that feeling is the feeling of non-judgment and the feeling of full acceptance of who I am. So people still get that in a relationship with me, but they're not meeting any of my needs. Right? We're collaborating on an experience. That's true. But I have no expectation of my client to be in a relationship and then I don't mean romantic, I mean any kind of relational experience with me where they are meeting any of my needs. They just have to adhere to any of and all of my boundaries. Does that make any sense?
No, totally. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And I think that there are different ways that cuddlers seem to approach the industry and approach their clients. And I think that's fascinating and beautiful to see the gamut of options and the gamut of opportunities. And I think that it is a very therapeutic practice and can resonate with the idea that, that it can assist in, I mean, it feels when what you're saying, it feels very coaching and very like, hey, we've got goals. We're going to move forward, which is
beautiful. Yeah, and it's very client led. My stuff is very very client directed in that I have this deep treasure trove, well access to a lot of exercises, a lot of different modalities. Like I've got some training in IFS, which is internal family systems therapy. I have some training in trauma processing with there's a great institute called Mindlight Institute. I highly recommend them. I've got some background and a few different somatic experiencing techniques and different kind of sensate focus techniques. And so we're doing a lot of, but there's also this really great modality called Uzazu, U-Z-A-Z-U, Uzazu. And so some of those embodied intelligence techniques are really, really cool. So I've got this toolbox and I'm like, all right, you want to build a house? Are you trying to pave a road? Are you trying to, what are we doing? Because let me see if what I got. Let me see if I got it in the back. Yeah.
I like that.
I love trying to have as many tools in my toolbox as I can to serve the client, you know, in the moment, what they need.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I know, Keeley, you've developed like a large online following. What's it like to be a TikTok star personality?
I don't know. Let's find one and ask.
I thought I was.
I don't know that. I have that. What a rabbit hole that I can go down with that, because parasocial relationships are so weird. Parasocial being the relationship with like an audience with a person online, being parasocial, and they're wild. And the little bit of TikTok virality that I've had has been kind of cool in that I have gotten access to some really lovely, just absolutely incredible people. They've found my work, they've found me, we've collaborated, they've become clients, they've become friends in, different veins, right? Depending on how we met and the circumstances thereof. So the community aspect of that is my favorite part of it. The consistent content creation is not my favorite part. The expectation is not my favorite part.
No, I feel that. I tried to start a TikTok and it was very challenging. I only did it for a little while and I may try to get back into it, but let me ask, how often are you creating content and how long does it take you to create content for that?
It depends. Like, again, with my trying to function in the world in any kind of a consistent way with my ADHD is an ongoing adventure. And consistency in schedules are not easily self-imposed for me. Yeah. And I think that may be common for people with this condition. And so I am trying to navigate as best I can. How do I be consistent? Because I know that that is a measure of success. And how do I give myself patience, grace, and permission to be human and to prioritize my mental health? And how do I balance I have created a community in that space. And for better or for worse, there are some things that community does count on me for. And I don't want to, it's not just I don't want to disappoint them, but I want to live up to this kind of commitment I've made. Yeah. To be support for these people, or at the very least communicate effectively when I can't be that. And so that juggling act is a challenge. And I will say that most of my videos, the vast majority of my videos, when they're consistent, it's because I pop on my phone, I record them, and I put them out. And it takes me maybe 20 minutes, maybe. Yeah. Like sometimes it'll take me 5 minutes. Yeah. And I'll just be like, here's an idea, boom, and done, bye. And then the better production ones do a little better, which is understandable. But they take it out of me. Yeah, it's interesting, that chase of dopamine, because I started TikTok as a dopamine chase, a fun dopamine chase. And it was great when I was getting that. And now that it's consistent, there isn't as much dopamine there.
I feel you.
So I'm trying to figure out how to navigate that.
Well, I think what you mentioned, the ones that you pop on and do, I think there's a level of authenticity in that that really is going to speak to the audience more. Not saying the professional ones won't, just saying, and you mentioned you get more feedback on the professional ones, but I definitely resonate with the idea of like, well, whatever. That's really cool. Mm-hmm. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
I did want to ask, and of course, I love talking about CuddleXpo. Let me ask, can you explain a little bit about the concept of CuddleXpo for people who are not aware?
Yeah, so me, Faye Wyatt, and Lisa Meese are the ones who originally put it on in 2017, right? And the concept behind it was there is this growing industry, and it's a lot of islands. There's a lot of people doing work that are very similar, either parallel or adjacent or the same, and they're all over the place. And it would be our thought was, wouldn't it be awesome? Wouldn't it be so cool to have support, have community with people who know what it's like? Because this industry, because it's so new, it's hard. It's really isolating at times. It can feel, not only can it feel lonely and isolating, but it can also feel othering, because so many people don't get it yet. And we get it, and we are trying to figure out how to communicate the good thing to other people in a way that they get it. But that process is hard. And so we wanted people to have access to their colleagues, there aren't on a broad scale. So we booked a hotel convention area, 3 days. We had 3 convention rooms. and started accepting. We reached out to a couple of the people in the industry that we knew were already doing educational work and already presenting. So we were like, okay, it won't be a huge burden or a big ask for these people because they've already got material. Maybe they can tweak it or whatnot, and see if they'd be willing to do this, and they'd want to. And then we also opened up applications so that we could get a diverse group of presenters. And one of our main goals in all the different content that we wanted to, or the different material that we wanted to feature, was we wanted different kinds of voices, and we wanted really broad topics. We didn't want like 8 workshops on the different poses, right? We wanted, if anyone had an idea that no one else seemed to be really diving into, we wanted to make sure we got that voice. And so the hope was that in terms of bang for your buck, the people who were able to attend could get the widest reaching, the most rich experience that they possibly could, and network in the best way that they possibly could. That was the goal. I think we got close to it. I think we got pretty near that goal.
I agree.
Yeah. How do you, I mean, you've kind of said already that was your goal. I think you reached it. How was that significant for the cuddle community?
Well, one thing that happened at the convention that I am so I love and I'm excited about, and also feel a little like weird twinge of like disappointment and guilt. I'll explain this more. Is that we created a document, and based on, at the time in 2017, the people every person who had any educational program around professional cuddling, so training program, every person who had a training program, and every person who had been doing it who had been practicing as their primary job, as their primary career for more than like 2 years. Any one of those people were brought to the table, and we said, okay, let's get a bare minimum standards of practice. What do we all agree is the thing that is common about what we do? Again, we all have flavors, right? We all have a little bit of different thing that we're doing, but if we distilled it all down to the core essence that we all did agree on, what would that look like? And we came up with the standards of practice, and it is a really beautiful document. It's a living document that exists out there, and we were hoping to do quite a bit with it. We were hoping to make a Wikipedia page about it, maybe have like some trademarking or seal where anyone who adopted that as their basic standard of practice could put that on there as sort of a measure of consistency and as continued community building in the industry, like recognition, like, oh, I've seen that before. Oh, I get it. And we have the document. It exists. We tried to put it on Wikipedia and got weird wet red tape challenges there. And all the people who signed up to participate in it appreciate the document, but we never came up with like a seal or an image. So that's what I mean by I'm really proud of what that accomplished. And I have guilt and a little disappointment in myself for not continuing on with what we were hoping it could do. But it's never too late, and just it haven't happened.
And I think there's still time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great document to have, the standards of ethics. Yeah, it's and if you guys haven't seen it yet, you can find it on cuddleresources.com. So linked from there. But yeah, it's amazing that came out of CuddleXpo with a group that worked on it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Highly recommend it.
It was very much also like getting to be a part of that was very much like how the sausage is made moment. It was really cool because seeing all the behind the scenes of like the conversations of what should go in there and what should not go in there, and like the different opinions and the different perspectives on that. There was definitely moments and like items in that document that were talked about a lot, that there was back and forth because we really wanted to create something at the end that every single person who participated in making it would adopt, would say, yes, this, absolutely. I don't have my own little caveat to add, like I adopt this thing. They can then expand but as a core basis of like the fundamentals, and then they add a bunch of other stuff on. That's great. We did come up with something that everyone was like, yeah, this is accurate. So that I'm very proud of everybody who was a part of it, and so grateful at all of the participation there from everyone who did participate in it. It was awesome.
And I do think that coming in early, and you were going to say, Mary, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just said agreed. Go ahead, Crystal. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say coming in really fresh into cuddling at the CuddleXpo, you know, just from that perspective, I think there was a very amazing gamut of content. And I think there was a lot of opportunity for growth. I remember, you know, going into, I believe it was Janet Trevino's workshop on marketing and on video, you know, how to make a video, talking about, you know, apps to use, talking about content, what to do, talking about even just little tips and tricks, you know, and these were things that I didn't think about, you know, in the industry, you know, sitting in on that panel when everyone was discussing some of the ins and outs of the code of ethics. You know, I was grateful enough to get the volunteer perspective. So I got a lot of behind the scenes. Like, it was amazing. It was really wonderful to meet everyone in the industry and just feel a part of that. And I think that especially pre-pandemic, it was such an important piece of the Cuddle history. I mean, it really helped shape me. It helped me feel not alone. You know, as a solo person in Pittsburgh, you know, I still consider myself one of the only people who practices in the city, who currently practices in the city. And once again, especially during the isolation of the pandemic, I do just want to say how monumental and how much of a positive memory that CuddleXpo still holds in my heart. I would like to ask, and I do have one to share too, but what were some of the most memorable moments for both of you at the CuddleXpo? What are the things that you really loved about it or really shined in your heart space?
Go ahead, Mary. I want to hear one of yours.
One of mine was I actually presented at the expo. My topic was reframing rejection, and Len Daly came to my presentation. Gonna make me cry. But for those who don't know, Len was the primary trainer for Cuddle Party facilitators for a really long time, he came to my presentation to support me. I had 5 people at mine because it was up against one really popular panel that I really wanted to go to as well. Yeah, and Sam Hess came to mine too. So I was really like honored that these 2 giants of our industry chose to come to my presentation, and it went really well. And everybody, I thought it was really good. But having Len there was just like the highlight. And then he asked me to sing for him, which I found in the main room, I think the next day, to sing some opera for him, and he teared up and cried and thanked me, and it was amazing. So, and for those who don't know, unfortunately, Len died soon after that in a car crash. So it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I had that moment with him.
That's so special.
Yeah.
Getting to meet and hug Len at that event was pretty awesome.
Yeah, because I trained online, so I had never met him in person until then. And yeah, and just networking, meeting everybody. I met Crystal there, I met you there, you know. I'm not sure I had before that, Keeley. So yeah, I met Madeline, I met Adam, I met, oh my gosh, so many people that it was, yeah, that I never would have been able to connect with other than maybe on video a little bit. But yeah, I just really felt like it cemented my place in the Cuddle community, and that I had all of these connections now. I met Jasmine, I met, you know, it's like, man, so many amazing people that I was just blowing my mind the whole time. So for me, it was epic in my Cuddle life.
Oh yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being there and for presenting. And Crystal, thank you so much for the volunteer. Like that whole thing was such a labor of love, right? And we were doing the best we could with, like, you know, shoestring everything, budget, energy, all the things. So without the beautiful generosity of everyone who participated and made it happen, it would have never happened, and it wouldn't have been the it wouldn't have had the powerful impact that it did have on the people that it impacted. So, I'm so grateful for everyone who touched the event and who were touched by the event. Yeah. One of my favorite, man, it is hard to say like memories from that because it is such an intense blur, right? Like trying to put it on as well as enjoy it at the same time is almost impossible. And so it's just doing everything every moment, and putting out fires and navigating challenges or tech issues, and then making sure everyone's where they need to be and coordinating the photographers, and like it's so much that it is definitely a blur. But here's a memory that I can say right after it was done. I had brought all of the cuddle fluff from the main stage home. We'd packed everything. We'd put all the walkie-talkies away. We'd gotten the convention center cleared out. And my big van was just packed to the gills with all the stuff. I didn't even bring it inside. And I went home, and one of the presenter had stayed with me at my place, and so they'd left, and it was just quiet for the first time during the weekend, and I just sobbed. I just sobbed and sobbed and sobbed, and my partner that I live with came in and was like scared, like, what happened? I'm like, it's good and a lot, and like I could get some words out, but the intensity of emotion that just sort of flooded from how elated and happy I was, from the cuddle drop, from all of the oxytocin overload, from the months and months of planning and prep and work that came up to it, that it being over, and like not having any of that, like the relief from that, but also the missing it already. Like you're just every daggone emotion at once, and just like flooded. And so my partner like got a bunch of blankets and stuffed animals and turned on Disney movies and got some tea and got some chocolate and just like kept shoving the nice things at me and like surrounding me until I was like a little troll with my hoard of like comfort things. And I just stood there for probably 2 days. So that's maybe one of my favorite parts of the event.
I love it. Yeah, I gotta decompress from that for sure.
Yeah.
I love it. I can just picture you there surrounded by stuffed animals. That's like a great shot in my head.
Sipping on a boba tea.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Make sure you have like 3 days to do nothing after you do anything like that, right?
And it was September and October, so perfect cuddle weather.
Yes.
Or it was September in Chicago, not in October. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say I had so many really good memories there, and there was one specific thing that we did at the end of the CuddleXpo that really stuck out in my mind, and that I haven't been able to replicate with friends or with group events yet, but it has literally been my mission in life. And I feel like you might know what it is, Keeley, and you might actually be able to describe it better. So I would love to hear the name of it, because I called it like a butterfly waterfall or a kiss. Or, do you know which thing I'm referring to?
An angel wash.
It's called a what?
Angel wash. You were very close. Yeah, it's the angel wash.
I have never, I mean, I connected so well with so many people and made so many beautiful friends, and I felt so seen. I literally started sobbing the moment I started walking. My eyes were closed, and it never left me just how important and how beautiful and how moving that was. So I would love to do that again someday. It's like my mission in life. Yeah. What inspired that, or where did you learn that from, or where was that created? That
I hope I get this correct. I think that was a Faye Wyatt contribution. I'm pretty sure it's a convention or not a convention, but it's an exercise that exists, right? And I hadn't done it in that way before. I'd done some like I don't know what its origins are, but I know that when I was in camp as a kid, there was something that happened that was kind of similar to it. But what it is when you're in a group of people who have done a lot of bonding, sometimes they'll do this on like work retreats, although I hope they do it a little differently than how we did it. You take the entire group and you put them in like 2 lines, like the do-si-do line or whatever, like if you're line dancing across from each other. And the one person at the end, very much in like the Soul Train fashion, will walk through the center aisle of what you've created with the 2 people. And as they're walking through, you first of all, there's a facilitator there who pre-negotiates some of this so that that person doesn't have to. When I say they pre-negotiate it, they talk to the person who's about to walk down the aisle and ask them what level of touch they're comfortable with. And if it's none, that's valid. All the way up into like full hands or full hugs. So you pre-negotiate how much touch they're comfortable with. You pre-negotiate the things that they're comfortable hearing. So phrases, words, what's off limits, etc. And you pre-negotiate if they need an out, right? So then that person, the facilitator, helps this happen, but that person will walk down the center, and based on their level of touch comfort, the people, as they walk by them, as the center person or the person who's walking down the aisle walks past each individual person, they say something loving, they say something kind, they say a memory that they've had with that person, something that they're called to say in that moment that is all about love, being seen, being connected. And sometimes it'll be like a hand on a shoulder as they pass, or sometimes there'll be a hug as they pass, or you could take your fingertips lightly and go and gently stroke down from a head, shoulder, down to a side kind of a thing. And it's to the person's comfort level, but as they go down, it's just this very all encompassing, like completely encasing feeling of warmth and love and connection and touch as you walk through until you get to the other end. And then you become either side of the aisle, and the next person walks through until everyone has done it.
Beautiful. So moving.
Mm-hmm. It's a really powerful exercise, especially at the end of a connecting experience. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did it before in like a massage class. We had like a 6-week massage class. And then we did it here, and I was like, oh yeah, I remember, I love that. And now you guys are talking about it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I remember, I love that. I haven't done it since, but it's just like, how do these things fall off? It's such a great exercise. They call it an angel walk or butterfly walk. I've heard it called different things, but it's amazing to just. And I don't know if you said this, but I missed it, but the person walking has their eyes closed, so they don't really know who's giving them that info or touching them.
Yeah, the eyes closed is highly suggested, but it's not mandatory. You can have your eyes open. Yeah. But it's highly suggested. You're right. I find the experience to be better when it's closed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you get to the end and you're just like, oh my gosh, there's all these people who like me, who want to touch me, who, just, like, oh my gosh, how can this be? And yeah, there are often lots of tears and like happy tears, like, oh my, wow, this is awesome. So yeah, it is amazing. I love that that's one of your favorite things, Crystal. That's so cool. Yeah. I've never done it with such a big group because we had like 75 people in the walk. And so yeah.
Oh, it's very powerful.
Really powerful. Is the time right to do CuddleXpo again? What do you think?
I would love to, absolutely. I would probably, I probably want to wait at least another year, just because the world is really hard to navigate in terms of convention space right now. There would be, if I felt like we could redo the exact same event and I would have like maybe 20% easier time, I think that with all the new protocols we would have to adopt because of how the world is right now, that 20%, like, oh, I feel good about this, I know what I'm doing, would just be knocked back down to 0.
Probably. Yeah.
I imagine that's probably not quite accurate. I probably would feel a little bit better about it, but it's just, for me personally, would I want to do it again? Absolutely. Would I want to wait another at least year because I don't want to have to navigate possible cancellation if something else pops up? Like, I would probably want to wait a little bit longer. But I hope if people are interested, have experience running conventions before, I would love for them to reach out to me. I'm as of right now, I believe I sort of am carrying the torch of, of CuddleXpo, because I do believe that the other two founders are involved in amazing, awesome projects that would prevent them from being as big a part, but will always be a founder regardless, and will probably always be some part of the event, even if it wouldn't be in such a key coordination role, just for capacity's sake. But if anyone is interested in doing that thing, definitely reach out and we can have like nice and gentle, slow conversations without pressure or rush. We can start getting just like an email list together.
Yeah.
I don't think you're carrying the torch alone, girl. I think there's like a lot of us out here that are like, yes, please, I will help. Let's do it.
Yeah.
I will register right now, Keeley, because I am totally interested and I'm totally on board for whatever I can do.
Me too.
I would love to co-create with you, and I did talk to one of the founders. I don't think it's a secret. She's not interested, but she did say that we could use all of her material. So I'm so excited for that. She's like, if you want to do it, I'll give it all to you. I'm like, okay. Like, let me think about that.
I know I'm storing most of those materials.
Yeah.
In my basement. They're all there.
I have no experience, but I'm be ready to be on board. But I think even if we started like right now, it still would be like a 2-year process probably.
Right.
Yeah.
To do the scale that I would like to do it next time, yeah, I think it'll be a 2-year process.
Yeah.
For sure.
We're gonna have to schedule a meeting. Anybody who's interested, let us know. Yeah. That's awesome. Cool. I'm happy to hear that, Keeley, because I know the other founders did so much work and they got a little burnt on it and ready to do other things. So that makes me excited.
It was hard. It was a lot of work, and we didn't, I think we had a smaller staff than what was needed, right? And to do it again, I would need someone on the team who has experience specifically with putting on conventions, right? So I knew, we got. So if out there in podcast land, friends and countrymen.
Yeah, absolutely. Woo. Okay. Well, my next question is that you've been such an integral player, Keeley. You're doing the CuddleXpo, doing the code of ethics, and being such an advocate for inclusivity in our industry, and for queer groups inclusivity and leading. And now you're working at one of our leading companies doing training in Cuddlist. And what do you think is the bigger picture? Where do you think we're going? Where should we be going? Where should we be putting our focus and our energy?
Yeah.
Of cuddling.
Man, there's so many ways to answer that. And if we're talking very broad, I would like to see there be recognition in the mainstream, and I think there is. I think the shift is happening, especially after the pandemic, where people have such a visceral understanding of what touch deprivation feels like, what isolation. That's not your fault. Like, it's not stigmatized because there used to be this oh, it must be a really pathetic person who needs this, and now everyone went through a period where by no choice of their own they were isolated, and they're like, that was just what I was dealing with because of the circumstances around me. And newsflash, y'all, sometimes that's just what happens. So I think that people have a different understanding now, which I would erase the pandemic ever happening if I could, but I can't. And so that I'm grateful for that small part that has come out of it, since we had to endure something so awful anyway, right? And so I think that the shift is that more people can have access to this work. I think that this work is deepening. I think that this work is our understanding of what's possible in it, of what's possible with it, is deepening. I know that as some of my, some of the colleagues, you guys and other people I chat with develop their practices, get multidisciplinary, realizing how many other modalities couple with this so beautifully. They complement it so well and they complement it, in fact, so well that it seems like it should just be a part of it. And so I think that's one way that this work is changing overall, is that it's deepening, and it's It's how it impacts people and in what the practice of it is. I also see, my hope is that more and more practitioners continue to pop up. Right now, we're still a small percentage of the world. I get clients asking me all the time, like, can you find someone in my area? And there are just, to steal a phrase, cuddle deserts. Yeah. There are places all over the United States, at the very least, that some of my clients travel 4, 5, 6 hours to me because it's just, there's no one out in rural Iowa. And it's like, they're gonna have to drive, they might as well drive to the person that they found and are comfortable with. So my hope is that more and more people will find their paths. Like Crystal, you mentioned your path, Mary, you mentioned your path and mine. They will find their path to this work. So I hope that happens and more, and they seek that community. I hope those people don't find their path and then try to be an island. Unless that really works for them, but I'm skeptical how many people that genuinely works for, because we are so much more supported and so much stronger when we can support each other as colleagues. And so I hope people reach out to me. This is an open invitation for anyone who's listening. Reach out to me if you want like mentorship, or if you want you ask questions about it, check out my TikTok about it. But the more we can collaborate and take on more of a abundance versus a scarcity mentality around it, I think that the industry will just grow in this very beautiful direction. Like, we are not, no colleague of mine is my competition. Loneliness is my competition. People who are experiencing touch deprivation, that's my competition. That's what I want to stamp out. I want to work with thanks for letting me go down this like little soapbox that I'm on right now, but there's a couple of really great practitioners in Chicago, and I send my clients to them regularly. We are not in competition with each other. The client will see them, they will see me, they will come back or they won't, whichever is the perfect practitioner for them. Or if both practitioners have different flavors that they really enjoy the both of, then the client will go to both. I have a client that I share with 3 other Chicago-based practitioners, and the client goes to all 3 of us regularly. Like, there is abundance. We are not in competition with each other. We are helping each other, and we're helping people. And the people's that's my biggest goal. I want my clients to find the right help for them.
Yeah, I love that about being in this industry, that we all support each other, and there are so many lonely people that need us. This is not a zero-sum game. Oh my yeah. Hey, there's no competition here. Every cuddler I've ever met has wanted to just help each other, and that is one thing I just love about being in this industry. So, thank you.
I really loved what you mentioned, Keeley, about this practice going well with other practices. I find that it is very interesting how foundational cuddling has been in my own life, my own personal growth, my own personal evolution, and how any intimacy issues, on any realm, whatever level you're looking at, for partnerships, for individuals, for singles, for community, learning how to say yes and no to touch, learning how to understand what boundaries are, learning abundance mentality, learning all of these different things, mindfulness, all of them really just go hand in hand to make a more well-rounded, happier human, that it feels whole and feels okay with themselves and feels like they don't have to fill a void with things, with whatever, it really, really hit me hard, and it's beautiful. I really resonate with the idea that yes, we need to live in a more abundant atmosphere. We need to be in community and not competition. And I feel that the cuddle world has been nothing but that for me, nothing but a training exercise in learning how to communicate and how to connect and how to be in a cooperative space. And I feel that so much in Pittsburgh. It's definitely one of the things I tell everyone. I'm like, I'm a professional cuddler. If you want to be one too, it's easy. Like, let's talk about it. I totally would talk about anything with anyone, anytime. And so I love that idea of just building and having more professional cuddlers. And I think there are so many beautiful avenues they can take. Do you have any advice for those who want to pursue professional cuddling, or people who are already practicing and want to just like keep refining, keep honing in?
Yeah, find what you're passionate about and like do the thing. So I know that sounds really stupid, like not stupid, but really simple and reductive. But if someone hasn't gotten into this work at all, is just being exposed to it, I do highly recommend grabbing some training. Find a training program that resonates with you, whichever one that is, and like take some time for yourself to integrate it into your life. Practice it first, whether that's Cuddle Party, whether that's, and Cuddlist is more group oriented, right? Or it could be Cuddlist, which is individual. Cuddle Sanctuary is individual. Cuddle Saj out of Atlanta is incredible. And when I say find your specific thing, Cuddle Saj is geared toward specifically Black women. And so whatever you're interested in, try to find the thing that resonates the most with you and spend some time, give yourself the gift of like indulging in as much learning about the thing as you want. Not to prevent you from doing, but just indulge in the joy of finding out about it. When you can do that, you tend to integrate more. Integrate meaning I can understand a concept, but there's a difference between understanding a concept and then like using it and applying it to my life. That the integration of things into your life is going to be more powerful for someone's practice and more powerful for their clients. So and integration often comes more from joy than should or study hard, or so find the joy in it. I think that is such an important path to follow, and maybe a thing I can thank my ADHD for, because if there's not dopamine, I'm not doing it. So I appreciate the motivation and hindrance that is simultaneously. And then if anyone is curious, there are, I want to say this as an encouragement and not discouragement, but have a lot of self-agency. Be like, I don't know of anyone, even in the training programs, who is just going to come to anyone and hold their hand and take them through step by step. Have if it's really a joy for you, if you're genuinely connecting to it, then have the self-agency to continue to like pursue it, and recognize that there will be so many things that you can do. It could get overwhelming, so just stick with the things that you enjoy. And if that also looks like things that aren't just called cuddle therapy or professional cuddling, that's okay too. The embodiment classes that I take outside of it all help me in my practice. The heck, my background in theater helps me in my practice. One of the person who I mentioned a little bit ago, Dylan Newcomb, who created Uzazu, started off as a professional dancer, was a dancer for years and years and years. And so all of his work was about the body. That's where he came from. And then he got really passionate about and started deep diving into embodiment and coaching and what is this world of like self-improvement. And because he came to it from that really specific place, then he was able to like, okay, well, this is a way that I'm seeing all these connections in a way that other people don't see it because they don't have that background. So I'm going to offer that to people. That is another thing that I can tell people who are getting in this industry. Your unique background, whatever it may be, is helping you in some way. That your story, whatever your story is helping you in how you are going to uniquely process this information, learn this information, learn these kinds of techniques, and it will help uniquely someone else.
I like that. Self-agency really stands out to me and is really important, and I think necessary to touch on, and that there are so many opportunities that it doesn't matter what you're interested in, and it doesn't even matter your income level. And I like to state that because I really came at the industry from an angle of not being able to afford a ton, but still being able to find resources, find ways to make it work for me because I wanted it. But there are so many different opportunities and so many levels to find education. For low cost or sometimes even no cost, depending on what you're looking at. So I think there's always ways to reach out.
And be respectful, but don't be afraid to ask. Yeah. Like I will almost always, because the people that do this work kind of have to be super freaking passionate about it. Otherwise we would do something else that would be easier. Because we're so passionate about it, most of us just want to help. We want this information out there, and we have our prices because we need to have our prices and we need to value ourselves. And that's a really great exercise. And that's a really important thing. And if you're in a position where you want to make an offer of like, hey, this is what I can do. Is there anything you can work with me on? This is where I'm at. And do you have anything that can accommodate that? And if not, totally okay. Like being okay with the no, but don't be afraid to ask. Asking is not, the ask is not insulting. An expectation, right, would be insulting, but the ask isn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's another thing I just want to teach everybody. Like, it's okay to ask me anything. Please ask me. I want to hear what you want to ask, and be ready to have a yes or a no. If it's no, then it's no, and just say thank you for taking the time. But it's okay to ask. Always, always. Please ask. Oh, this is just giving me chills.
As you both, so I am curious, you may have said it before, and so if you have, don't worry about it, but either of you see this industry going in a direction that I didn't necessarily mention, or do you see commonalities or patterns with this work?
Mary, do you want to touch on that first?
Yeah, I actually had a pet project for a minute where I was trying to create for us. But it turned out that it wasn't quite time, I think, with the people in the industry right now. And that's okay. I tried and it didn't quite fly, and it may fly in the future. I'm fine with that. But what came out of it is the Cuddle resource page that I started, and it's very minimal right now, but it is out there, cuddleresources.com or cuddleresources.org. It's the same page. And I was trying to get resources in the same place. So I just really want to have a common place for us. And I do feel like at some point we're going to need a way to have a unified voice or a common voice. And it's not time yet. We're so new, but I see that in our future, because I think that will be needed for our industry to respond to whatever may be happening from the outside, to be able to help our people from the inside with scholarships or resources that we could have if we had, a group that was working all together across all of the platforms. And so, yeah, I see that in our future, and I may not be the one to bring birth to that, and I'm okay with that too. But I think at some point that's where we should go, or where we need to go. And I think we will. I hope it happens before it's necessary, because if it has to be born out of some kind of emergency that we're responding to, I think it's going to be really painful. But yeah, hopefully that's not what happens.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Mary. And I do think that makes sense. And I really applaud you on all of the hard work that you do for the Cuddle industry. I mean, in general, with creating resources and creating groups and getting us together. I think bringing us together is really important. That is really part of, what is necessary as we move forward. And that's interesting, because I 100% feel that cuddling, I mean, we already, from the mental health and the physical health aspect, we already understand so little but so much about how much cuddling helps us with oxytocin, with just relaxing the body, with somatic healing. I feel like it's going to continue to grow in ways, and I personally lean towards ways of like disability and hospice. We already have volunteers that come and cuddle babies, and volunteers that work in hospice and do basically what we do, which is hold space and show acceptance for people as they're moving through the end stages of life or the beginning stages of life. And I continue to see that expanding into more of our physical Western medicine model, and hopefully still bridging some gaps with the fact that we're considered complementary or alternative medicine. And so again, that is something that's going to be more regulated, or need to have more of us kind of coalesced and in a uniform type of hanging out, like creating, solid togetherness and whatnot. But I see that as a future. I see us being able to help more people in so many ways. Every isolated population, every community that's disadvantaged, I would love them to have access to this, I guess.
I love that you mentioned that, because I got one of my foundational life experiences was in both what you mentioned, neonatal intensive care unit and hospice care. So to tell a little story, my mom was a NICU nurse from the time I was born to till middle school. And so we would go and see the first baby born in the new year. We would go and volunteer and cuddle the babies because that's what that they need that. And so that was from the time I was a little kid, touch being something that was necessary for life, was ingrained in my truth and in what I understood of the world. And then middle school, my mom switched to hospice care. And just as we did before, I would go and help volunteer, and holding the hand of a terminally restless person and seeing them calm just slightly in their end of life care and feeling that little bit of peace or that little bit of comfort through the simplest touch was, again, it just solidified how vitally important and how integral to our humanity touch is, and powerful in our feeling of comfort and connection. And it makes so much sense, Crystal, that those places would have so much benefit for us in them.
Agreed. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for the work that you do. I also have this, maybe I shouldn't talk about it yet because it's a very new idea, but I have interest in a side project about Cuddle VR.
Cuddle VR. Oh,
I want to do. Do you guys ever do any VR stuff? Do you look at any VR?
I have. Not very often yet, but a little bit.
So Oculus has this company and like this app called Trip, TRIPP, and it's like a meditation, calming, focus app, and it's all for VR. And I'm like, I need to contact that company and do cuddling VR simulations. Like, this needs to happen. Maybe it's because I've been in LA and visiting San Francisco a bunch lately, but it's like the tech capital. I'm like, we need to do this. This is going to be helpful.
I think it's inevitable. It's definitely going to happen. It's inevitable. It's definitely going to happen.
I want to be the person that does it.
I think we should be on board so that it goes well, so it goes smoothly.
Right.
I love it. I want to see it.
In podcast world, if you are a VR developer, an app developer, or you work with Trip, let me know.
Reach out.
Yes, please.
Do you have an uncle, a friend, or a second cousin's aunt that is in VR?
You're speaking to the right crowd. This is Nurtured Nerds you're talking to, so we're getting all the good. I mean, you're definitely going to have numbers calling in.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Nice. Yes. Let's talk about nerdy stuff. What about your cosplay? Or what nerdy thing do you want to talk about?
Oh, I'm just a real big nerd. Yeah, what's the most recent fun nerdy endeavor that I have done? I'm getting back into more tabletop gaming, which I adore and miss very much. And then I'm getting some new games for the Switch and getting my family involved in Switch gaming. So that makes me really happy. That is like a lot of the gaming world. The gaming world that I'm in. I do cosplay is like a complicated thing for me for a couple of reasons, and I will happily share them here. I keep my cosplay, specifically cosplay, not all my other nerdiness, because there is no way I could contain the nerd, so that's a futile effort. Not going to do that. But I can compartmentalize the cosplay in specific. And the reason, and I do that in specific away from the cuddling, because, and I actually love this conversation, so thanks for letting me have it. Because cosplay for me is expression of art, and because that art and in broader like philosophy, I do not feel that bodies are inherently sexual. Bodies are neutral, and we as a society have been conditioned, unfortunately, to inherently sexualize them. So the reason I mention that is because I will have cosplays. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. It sounds a little bit different though.
Here, I've opened the window because it's quite hot.
Sounds like it might have gone into.
It might be the window I opened. I don't know.
Is there anything on your speaker or like anything covering the speaker?
I might have gone to a different microphone or something. Yeah, you're really at the bottom of the well now. No. Yeah, check is there something plugged in that maybe got loose?
Well,
So good.
and then all of a sudden, I'll plug in some headphones.
Okay. Yeah, I don't want to miss what you were saying.
All right, are you able to hear me now?
Yeah.
Oh, so much better.
Is that any better?
Definitely.
Better for me.
Yes, no, maybe so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Now with the headphones. So I will do all kinds of cosplays. I'll do cosplays that bring me a lot of joy. And some of those cosplays that bring me a lot of joy might be scantily clad. Some of them might be from characters that are often hypersexualized. Some of them might be, I might want to do like a lingerie shoot because that kind of artwork appeals to me, not necessarily in a sexual fashion, but in a celebrating confidence and celebrating myself, right? And I find that it can be a bit of an annoying headache to when people cross the cuddling cosplay streams, personally for me, because unfortunately we don't have tons of education around bodies being neutral and not hypersexualized. We don't have a lot of education or mainstream constructive dialogue on someone can express their self through an art form in one way and in their professional life be completely different, right? Like it's this you see this come up with like if a school teacher has an OnlyFans, those might be really healthy separate things, but then there's like this big controversy around that, which I think is so I don't want to navigate it. I just don't want to navigate it. So I tend to keep them somewhat separate so that I don't have to. It's just like a headache I don't want to invite.
Understood.
Yeah, and I've had some crossover. I've had people who find me in one area or another, and then in the not accurate lane make a request of me that would cross those boundaries, right? And so that I don't want those conversations.
Be tiring.
I do love cosplay, and today I was No Face from Spirited Away at a photo shoot at the Descanso Gardens. So it was hella fun.
So cool.
Oh, cool.
It sounds very fun.
Yeah, I've been loving some of the artistic photos that you've been sharing on your feed, on your Facebook feed. Yeah, they're just amazing photos of you. I know you've been working with an artist to do those, right?
Yeah, there's so many wonderful artists out here. And this is where I can plug, like I sometimes do collaborate with artists and whatnot, but most of the time I just like want to pay artists, meaning like photographers or whatnot. It's like, hey, I want to hire you because I really respect and value your art, and like,
awesome.
Let's do the thing. And it kind of, I have so much empathy and respect and love for that kind of challenge of from what we do, right? Like the value. Sometimes people see that as a collaborative, if you're a photographer and a model, the parallel of like, oh, that's collaborative. Like, yes, it is, but it depends on who it's for, right? And that would be, thank you, Betty Martin. But it depends on who it's for, who should be paid, right? People consider cuddling very collaborative. Like, this is a co-created experience. Yeah, but it depends on who it's for. If it's for you, then that might be something that you hire out, right? And so it's a very parallel line I draw, and so I have so much respect and compassion for paying artists. All that to say, yeah, there's some really rad photographers in Chicago, in LA that I've been working with, and they're real great.
Cool.
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you cosplay at all?
I have never, but I would want to. Like, I definitely
do it.
Dressing up like Alice and dressing up in odd things, but I don't, get a chance to too often. I've considered going to Comic-Con and I've considered going to some things, and I have a lot of friends who do that, by the way.
Oh yeah.
Very much.
Yeah, I've been to a couple Comic-Cons. I made myself a Wonder Woman costume inspired by Wonder Woman with a long dress and appropriate for my body shape. Yes, I can be Wonder Woman too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so
I love it.
Yeah, and I got a lot of really good compliments from my costume when I wore it to Comic-Con in Salt Lake. And I actually was designing a Captain Liberty costume, kind of along the same line, but I didn't get very from the tick. I love Captain Liberty. But anyway, yeah, my cosplaying is very minimal. But it has been fun when I've done it.
And I think it's a celebration.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to say it's such a celebration of the human body, and it's such a celebration of playing a role or being, just being able to be something else for a moment, which we all play all sorts of fun roles. We all, create these beautiful characters within ourselves. And so I find it fascinating and beautiful to be able to celebrate that in many ways, including cosplay.
Mm-hmm. For several years, I did tours giving talks about getting people started into cosplay and about body positivity, body neutrality, and body acceptance in cosplay. And I toured around the Midwest and created a community to help people start, because I think that for a lot of people, there's this like barrier of entry that they perceive of like, oh, well, in order to cosplay, I have to sew. Not true. In order to cosplay, I have to be crafty. Not true. In order to cosplay, I have to have such and such skill or be at such and such level. And the only thing required to cosplay is that you love a character, that you absolutely love a character and you want to emulate them in some way. So you can closet cosplay. You can take things in it's like, imagine Disney bounding, right? Disney bounding is valid. It's a valid, fun form of art. People go wild with their Disney bounding, if you know what that is.
No,
so Disney bounding is where you take the color scheme or the themes from a character and take like street clothes to recreate the same kind of aesthetic as that character. So if I was doing like The Little Mermaid, I might have like this lovely teal green top, right? And or a lovely purple top and this like sea green, teal green skirt, and have a red wig or red hair or some kind of red accessory with a little fork in my head or on my hair. Or I might have like, you are taking themes and color schemes from characters in order to make an outfit. And it is huge. Like if you just do yourself a favor and on any social media platform, look up the hashtag Disney bounding and like get that hit of dopamine, because it is there. It is always there waiting for you. But that's also valid. If you want, I would say that is a subset of cosplaying, even though I know several people would probably disagree with me, but that's okay. They can be wrong. But if everything that you put on your body is bought off of Amazon, you're still cosplaying. Like the point is the joy. The point is the fun and the love of the character and the sharing in a fandom with community. That should always be the point, not how well you're doing it. If you want to do competitions, cool. Like if that is a thing that actually brings you genuine joy, great. I'll tell you this much. I made a 7-foot power loader from an Ellen Ripley cosplay from Alien. Like
I saw
the bright yellow Aliens power loader, like on stilted things, like walking around. It moved. It had the like light up on top and did it with an alien. I have no interest in competitions. My fun was the photo shoots. My fun was walking around on the con floor and getting pictures with everybody and having the little kids be excited. Like, could that have won cosplay competitions? Possibly, probably.
Totally.
It was huge. It was very cool. It still is. It's in my base. But that, like, sitting around backstage and like all that and like walking across the stage, and like the actions of that don't bring me joy, so I don't want to do it. But I'm still a real cosplayer. Tell me I'm not. Please try.
Well,
so I don't know. That's maybe part of my spiel.
Let me
no,
ask. Go ahead.
anyone can cosplay. If you love a character, you put on a shirt and it embodies that character for you, you're cosplaying. You know,
Definitely.
that's it. So yeah, if you love something and you want to do it, then do it. Absolutely.
What would you say some of your favorite characters to cosplay are in general? Like, what are your most top picks?
Oh, that's changed a lot recently. So some of my most recent ones, I did a Jessica Rabbit recently, which was super fun. I did, if you watch What We Do in the Shadows, I did a Nadja. That was really fun. I liked wearing the fangs. I did Daphne from Scooby-Doo recently. I also think that like me putting on my Kigurumi, like I have an Eevee from Pokemon, like Eevee Kigurumi that I walk around con with. Tell me that's not cosplaying. Try. Like I'm in a Kigu, but whatever, I'm Eevee.
I love it.
And what are some other favorites I have? The Ellen Ripley, I love. I like strong, kind of like badass characters. Oh, I also have an Appa. I have an Appa cosplay from Avatar.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Yep.
That's very cool.
Thanks. I'm always into a good Disney villain. I'll always go for a good Disney villain. Like I'll be an evil queen or a Maleficent or an Ursula. Like, yeah, can't go wrong.
Be fun. Do you do much video gaming?
So I do. I don't do a ton of PC gaming. My PC gaming are like independent games, like Portal 1 and 2. I will replay probably yearly until the cake is a lie, y'all. The cake is a lie. Cause I can't get enough of that homicidal computer. Just love her. I will also like smaller independent PC gaming. I have Steam, like fun little Steam games that'll come out. In terms of console gaming, so my partner who's back in Chicago while I've been out in LA for the winter, just got the brand new PS5, like the brand new one. And I have not had a chance to play it yet, and I'm a little jealous. I'm a little angry about that. But I did escape all of Chicago winter, so it's turnabout is fair play, right? That is I'll take that payback. But I'm excited to get into some PC gaming. And then I'm a big Nintendo fan. Like I'll Zelda it up all day long too. Like Breath of the Wild is maybe the most excited I've ever been about a game coming out. And then
for like 2 weeks. I played it nonstop for 2 weeks, and that was it. Like I needed it 24 hours a day.
Hard same. Like Breath of the Wild just is a top tier for me. And then here's a fun fact about me that I don't know if is a good thing or a point of pride or a point of shame. Don't know. When Animal Crossing New Horizons came out, it was at that time, right? We were all in deep lockdown. So Animal Crossing New Horizons came out. I sat in front of my Switch, and before Easter of that year, so like that's like 2 months, not even a full 2 months, 600 hours. 600 hours. I had communities. I had my own Discord server for Animal Crossing. I was on Reddit. It's the only time I've ever had a Reddit. I do not Reddit. I'm a no to Reddit. I created a Reddit for the first time in my entire life at 33 years of age so I could look up Animal Crossing outfits. I sunk 600 hours into that game in 2 months. Yeah. So I will thanks Hyperfocus and Pandemic for giving me that stat. I don't know.
There you go.
I'll get into things like that.
Yeah, I had a lot of friends who literally spent a lot of time on Animal Crossing. I was definitely more a Zelda lady, and I can relate. I've been a Nintendo girl since I was a child. Like it took a while for me to even be okay with other systems. At first I was like, oh no, I'm cool, I'm Nintendo. But I definitely, just like the Star Trek thing, I eventually came around and was like, there's more worlds out there than just this one. So
I hear you. I fully hear you.
Totally get it. Do you have?
I remember when that whole height of the Animal Crossing thing was out. I was talking to my therapist about it, and my therapist was like, yeah, I had to learn what that was because so many of my clients are using it right now as part of their therapy.
Yeah.
Like that's how they're surviving. And my therapist is not in any way a gamer. They're like, I had to find out what Animal Crossing was because all of my patients are just coping with it.
I'm telling you, the video games are way more awesome than some people like give them credit for. A lot of people are like, you need screen time. And I'm like, well, listen, hand-eye coordination, and there's communities, and there's a lot of like therapy. Like I've healed a lot of wounds through Zelda. I just have to admit that. I've definitely gone through, and my hero's journey has happened several times in my life throughout, whether it's multimedia, like watching a movie or playing a video game. You can really achieve some things, let's just say.
Oh yeah, all those creepy things in Twilight Princess. Yeah, those are my demons.
Oh yeah, I love it.
What I've learned
is my childhood trauma. Yeah,
definitely.
What I've learned here with the Nurtured Nerds, with the gamers here, because I'm not really a gamer, is that a lot of people use gaming as their community, and I never really thought about it that way. I thought gaming was like doing the screen. Most of you, I have communities. I have people. You started a Discord server, so you could, and a Reddit, so you could talk to people that are doing it. I think that's awesome. It's another great way to connect, and so I'm not surprised people were doing it more in the pandemic. I'm glad people found that and it worked for people. Another happy thing that came out of this horrible time, I think.
Something that is so relevant to that synthesizes several things that we've talked about. My proudest moment is Animal Crossing was I hosted a cosplay fashion show all in Animal Crossing, and it had like 10 people attend. It was like 10 or 15 people from this community, and they all came, and we had prizes. We had like really sought after prizes for the best. It was like a cosplay competition within, and like we set up a fashion show stage. I built a fashion show stage. We had seats. We had like this whole, people came up with like incredible costumes that they created. It was very cool. It's a very good night. It lasted several hours.
I love that. Absolutely. Oh man, we could talk forever. I wish we could. I love talking with you guys. But we're getting close to the end of our time. So Keeley, I just wanted to say, is there something you want to tell people who maybe are feeling like they're missing something in life? They don't know how to talk to people. They don't know how to maybe get the touch that they need or the connection that they need. Do you have something that you want to tell them?
Yeah, you are normal. In the way that none of us are normal. What is normal? But you are not weird. You are not broken. If you are finding that there is something missing in your life, then it's okay for you to go and get that thing. You deserve that thing. And it is not from some failing of yours. It is not a shortcoming. It is not a moral failing that you need more touch in your life. That is healthy. And there are circumstances in this world, there are circumstances in different lives that are hard to overcome in order to get the touch that you need. And it is totally valid to get that touch, and it's totally valid to want it, and you deserve to get it. And if that means that a professional like myself or like Crystal or like Mary can help you get that need met, there is no shame in that. That is you doing what is right to take care of yourself because you deserve to be taken care of. So my hope is that, and even if it doesn't feel dire, even if it doesn't feel like this is if you go one more day without getting touched, you won't be able to handle it at all. I have clients who just like as part of their regular self-care routine, like they go every once in a while to the doctor, they go every once in a while to get a massage, they go every once in a while to a spa to like relax, and they come see me. Like if it is just because it feels good, you're also allowed to have that. Our society and our world is very geared towards what can you produce, how fast can you produce it, whereas your worth is measured by what you're doing for other people. And you also get to rest. Rest is just as important as production. Giving yourself care is just as important as caring for others. So I hope you give yourself that care.
I love that. I think it's very courageous to reach out. I think it takes a lot of courage to do the things that you need for yourself. And so I really feel that. And our ghost in the machine says, no matter what kind of nerd you are, you can be loved and held. So much love. And Keeley, how can people find you if they want to reach out to you, find your email, your website, any sort of place to find you?
Oh, I'm around. Check under your bed. No.
Famous. It's for the green
I'm a monster with the green hair.
I love it.
No, you can find me at TikTok. That's a really great spot. And it's almost every social. I am Chicago Cuddle Therapy. I may eventually rebrand because I may not always be in Chicago, but right now, Chicago Cuddle Therapy. You can also do chicagocuddletherapy.com is my website. TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram are where I'm most active. I'm phasing out Facebook because it's the devil. But also, right?
Love it.
And you can also email me at Keeley at Cuddlist, Keeley at Cuddlist, Cuddlist.com. Also, there's actually a really cool opportunity for anyone who wants to Cuddlist, the training program. If anyone's curious about getting into this work, we're having a live training. It's the first ever live training for Cuddlist, and it's happening in May. If you go to cuddlist.com, Cuddlist, go to the training section, and there's the online, which you're also very welcome to utilize, and there's the live. The live training is going to be held in Chicago, and we would love to have you there. There's a fast track to certification as well. There's a difference between trained, a member, and certified, and there's a fast track to the highest level of certification. So I hope that anyone who's curious wants to join, can join, will join.
Yep, I highly recommend Cuddlist training. Please look at it, see if it looks right for you, if you're interested at all. Absolutely, this is a great opportunity.
I'm very excited.
Is there anything else you feel like you want to say for us today?
Nerds are great.
Nerds are awesome.
I love nerds. And I love both of you. Thank you so much for having me. Just getting to spend time with you. Like we could spend another couple hours.
I really
yeah. Spend forever and ever and ever all the times.
Absolutely. I love it. Thank you. Oh man. How are you feeling after doing the interview with us? I mean, you kind of just said, but sorry. You feeling good?
I'm feeling good. Yeah. That's great.
Too. Crystal,
I've missed connecting with both of you. It's been too long.
I'm feeling seen and nurtured and appreciated and loved. Oh, all the good stuff, guys. All the good stuff.
Yummy. Oh, I went to a cuddle event yesterday, a new one. Do you all know Andre?
I don't think so.
I've heard of Andre.
Andre is out here in Los Angeles running cuddle events. He trained with Jean at Cuddle Sanctuary and ran a cuddle class yesterday. It was a very cute, lovely event. I sadly had to leave early because my pup needed to be walked. But speaking of,
oh, there's your pup.
Yeah, you heard me talking about you, didn't you, Indiana?
What's his name?
We named the dog Indiana.
Indiana.
Yes, please.
Do you know where that's from?
Yes,
it's totally Indiana Joe.
Totally.
Even my dog is nerdy.
I love it. Yeah, we were about to just do like the cuddle of the episode, but I heard you learned a new one at the event yesterday that you might want to share.
Crap, I didn't even mention it.
That's okay. This is the time.
Yeah, so I learned the new it's called the double scoop of ice cream.
Okay.
And so the first person gets on the ground, like on their knees in fetal position. Like, so they're on their knees and they're hunched over, right? And then the other person lays on top. Double
Kinda
scoop ice cream.
over them, kind of like an exercise ball.
Yeah.
I'm totally doing that. I'm totally doing it.
It's like if you did the pancake where you're laying on top of someone, only the bottom pancake was a ball.
Okay, interesting. Did you try it?
No, my knees can't do that.
Oh.
And I didn't lay on top of anyone because it didn't stay long enough.
Okay, that's a fun one though. Yeah, I always love hearing about
But
that.
I did, unrelated to anything, we were talking about my knees. I did go to a Flogging Molly concert on St. Patrick's Day.
Classic.
It was great. And I went into the mosh pit and that was intense. And y'all want to see a gnarly bruise?
Yeah.
Mary, are you consenting to see?
I'm consenting. Bruises are fun. Oh, that's a good one. Oh, that's
right.
no wonder
it's
your
so
knees
gnarly.
What happened?
I have mosh pit.
Just mosh pit. I
Mosh
haven't
pit
been.
happened.
You survived.
I don't know.
I
You get knocked out?
survived the mosh pit. Mosh
love
pit is
it.
everyone like throwing their bodies to get, like, people are like throwing elbows and fists and they're throwing their bodies against each other. I actually think I might make a TikTok about how related mosh pits and cuddling are.
They're close, man. They're close. There's a lot of people that care for each other. You can see it. Like there's people.
Oh my God, mosh pit etiquette is real. Mosh pit etiquette is real. If someone falls down, like it's very real. You could perish. So if someone goes down, everyone around them picks them up immediately. Yep.
Awesome.
No questions asked. You pick someone up if they fall down. And people are falling down frequently because people are throwing boats. But yeah, I had a client back in Chicago who came to cuddle parties regularly and then saw me, and he realized that one of the reasons why he was a mosher when he was in his teens and early 20s was because he didn't have access to touch, and moshing is full body contact, and he would get oxytocin from it, but that was the only way that he socialized as a male in his environment, felt like he could get access to the level of touch that he wanted without being ostracized. And so he found that through mosh pits.
That makes a lot of sense, actually. Like a lot.
Yeah, it does. I never thought about that one. I thought about sports, people doing sports to get the contact, or dancing. There's a lot of ways people try to get the contact or even just like going to get your hair done and having them wash your hair. So many ways.
Oh yeah.
Which are all good ways, but it's like what is it that you really want? Maybe you can have that. Yeah. Cool. Washing.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh,
cool. Mary, how do we get in touch with you if anyone wants to reach out to you, Mary? And do you have any things coming up on the pike or down the pike?
Yeah, actually, I'm pretty excited because I've been working on renewing all my trainings and figuring out where my sweet spot is, and I've decided it's Cuddle Party, and I think it's time to do Cuddle Parties again. So
there she is.
Yeah.
I will come to an event, Mary, if you have one. I'm not joking.
I have decided that it's time to do them in my house, which I have been resistant to in the past. So as soon as I get home, I'm gonna redo my living room and get people back to my, get my cuddle community going again, because we really had a good community 2 years ago, and
I love that. I love that so much.
So I am excited to get in my sweet spot again, do cuddle parties, build up my cuddle community in Salt Lake, and I'm inspired right now. So
I'm really grateful to hear that, Mary. And they can reach you at Mary the Cuddler, right? Mary the Cuddler.
Yeah. MaryCuddler.com, marycuddler@gmail.com is my email, and you can find my meetup in Salt Lake City at Utah Cuddle Club on meetup.com, and that's where I advertise my events. But I'll probably put it on the Cuddle Party page too. I need to remember how to do that. It's on Eventbrite.
I love it.
Right, as well. So yeah, coming soon, hopefully very soon. Cuddle Party's back in Salt Lake.
Yeah, keep us posted. I'm gonna be not joking. I'm willing to fly to wherever to get to Cuddle.
Yeah, please. Come. Yeah, I will definitely keep you posted. Crystal, come visit me. I would love to have you in Salt Lake.
And you ladies are always welcome. I'm trying to build it in Pittsburgh again. There's always room for more. Always exciting.
Yeah,
don't threaten me with a good time.
Yeah. Can't even get the Francisco all day.
Yeah, I want to visit everybody. Yeah, coming soon. How do we get a hold of you, Crystal?
Well, you can definitely reach me at crystaltherapy.cc@gmail. My website is giving me trouble. I am still on Facebook under Crystal's Cuddle Therapy, and I am still on Instagram and under Cuddle Pittsburgh. I also have meetups for Nurtured Nerds set up and for Cuddle Pittsburgh. And for a couple other fun things, punk poetry potions and a horticulture therapy one. Still working out all the kinks on that, but I'm really excited about all the events coming up, and I'm hoping to do events once a month in Pittsburgh. I'm also really excited and hoping to do retreats that are literally across the country with cuddlers, with all sorts of fun practitioners.
Yes.
Do a little group like molding fun action. Just anybody who's interested and wants to meet up, we're just going to show up at an Airbnb or at someone's house or just wherever we can. And have a little.
I love it. Holler at me if you want any assistance about it. That sounds rad.
Definitely. I would love that. I'm so grateful for all the people involved in collaboration all day. Definitely.
I'm totally in for cuddle practitioner retreats and any kind of cuddle retreat. Yes.
I'm feeling good about it. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like it's coming. Springtime. We're doing this.
Coming. A lot of things are coming. Okay. Let's see. Well, we are at nurturednerds.com, or you can find us on facebook.com at nurturednerds. Email, Crystal?
We've got nurturednerdnewbies@gmail.com. If you're new and you want to get involved, especially if you're maybe not on one of the social medias, but trying to find us on another, you can always email. You can always definitely reach out that way.
We've got a raffle for a ton of really cool stuff if you join us as a member, which is totally free, so you should do it and get cool stuff. And if you want to know what cool stuff is, go listen to another podcast, because I'll tell you right now, it's mystery. And we're also working on building up a new raid. So here's another teaser. Soon we're gonna do a new side quest raid. We still support Cassandra with her jerk-proof your relationships, and she's got a deal going on for us. And that is learning how to relate well and do good listening with your partners. And anyway, Cassandra's amazing. Cassandra Brown, jerk-proof your relationships. Go do her class. It's awesome. But we have a new side quest raid coming up very soon. Here's my teaser.
Teaser.
Yes. All right. What else do we need to say, Crystal?
Let's see. If you win the drawing, you get some really cool stuff, including a 30-minute virtual session with a participating professional cuddler that could be any of us, could be anyone, but it's consensual. So you do have to have a little bit of a, meet up with them either via email or via phone prior to the virtual session. You get Mary's ebook, The Art of Authenticity, which is amazing. I'm very, very proud of this wonderful woman that I get to work with and get to promote and get to be awesome with all the time. You get a video game gift card that can be used to download video games, and I have no idea what else, but there could be other things. Oh, a discount on the current raid, which we talked about. I love it.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right, you guys.
Third breaks.
Nerd breaks. Yes, there are weekly events where nerds get together and have fun. So come find out where they are. They're on the meetup and the Facebook page. They let us know, and come have fun with us. We'll host a nerd break or a dance break or something cool. It's just a good time here with Nurtured Nerds. All right, you guys. What else? Anything else we need to say? We're feeling good? Are we feeling nurtured?
Mm-hmm.
I am feeling nurtured, very much so. Thank you for being here with me and with all of us. If you feel so inclined, you can put your arms right out and give yourself a hug.
Thank you so much, Keeley. I'm so grateful to see you.
Yeah.
I am so grateful to see both of you.
All right, nerds. That's it for today.
Yeah.